to any combo lords joining me here today. Hello there. Welcome to any combo lords joining me here today. I'm not sure if I just said that twice or if it cut off the first one. In any case, glad to have anybody here from the future or present. And today, in our nice combo classroom with our soundtrack of crows, listen to that, I'm going to chat with you guys about some fun stuff. And, oh, we got a dandelion too. We got Mr. Dandaloo. Dandelion, come here. So, today in the combo classroom, with our crows and our dandelion, the cat, we're going to be looking at some numbers like we often like to do, and we're going to do it in a game-like fashion. We're going to play a little award show where numbers have interesting properties. There's many sorts of award show that we could do and that we might do in the future. And it's sort of a fun game where for our award show, we will go up a certain amount of numbers and we will give them points based on certain criteria. And we will see which numbers not only have the most points, but which ones have the record-breaking amount of points as we go down the list. So there may be multiple awards passed out for any numbers that get more points than any previous number. So first, I'm going to do a little intro before we jump into that. So I want to do a little chatting, and my last stream, the beginning got cut off or something when YouTube processed it. It just started partway through the stream in the full version. So hopefully this part doesn't vanish again. But I want to tell a little note to my stream joiners, or a couple little notes, that I may drop in a bonus video to let everyone know. But for some extra details right here, something that was in my last stream that got cut off from the beginning is that I'm in the process of quitting my day job, in quotes, the private lessons I teach. And the reason why I'm thinking of quitting that is I want to transition toward having more and more time for combo class. And in combo class, having more time will let me focus on perfecting my videos, and I'm going to make myself big for this portion, and having more time to have a steady schedule with things like dropping an episode many times on the main channel throughout the year, in terms of having more shorts like I had made an insane amount of before, getting back into making a bunch of those, possibly putting some shorts on the main channel too if I make some extra in like high depth ones that fit the main channel. And the other things that I'll be able to do include writing some of the books I've hinted at and dropping some of the music I've been making. And I also will be doing a fun thing I noted, which is for anybody who happens to have any extra broken clocks or any extra dice or calculators or things like that, I will be starting a P.O. box. No, I can't actually call it. It's not quite that. So I was gonna be starting what's called a P.O. box. But when I looked into it, the P.O. boxes, which is run by the U.S. Postal Service, USPS, have all these crazy restrictions. And one of them is they only receive mail from the USPS. And there's a lot of other mail carriers like FedEx and other stuff. And I want to make it easier for people to send me broken clocks and stuff. So I'm going to actually get one that is same type of thing. It's an address that's not mine in my area that you mail weird stuff to if you want, from a list that I will tell you of stuff that will help the classroom, stuff that you are fine with seeing destroyed but possibly getting a role in history. And it won't be technically a P.O. box, so if you send stuff, don't write P.O. box on it, just write the address. I'll tell you sometime before March. And because it's not technically a P.O. box, those are stricter than what I'm getting. But the same deal, you can send it with any mail carrier. Look for your broken clocks. Now, where are my combo lords at? To any combo lords joining there, leave a comment saying hi or something. And the other thing I wanted to let you folks know is that this is one of the last streams. This will be called the Combo Class Bonus Channel. Really soon it's going to be called Demotro from Combo Class. This is also not quite one of the last, but one of the closer to last of episodes for a little bit that you will even see in this classroom, because there's going to be a transition occurring in part of March where there will still be pre-filmed content you'll see, but as for the live streams, they may have to be in my room. But because as this transition occurs, it might have to have some aspect of secretness so I can surprise you folks in grade -2, especially because I kind of want that to come out on April Fool's Day, right at the beginning of April. And that will be a good day for some surprises. So, looking through what we're going to actually jump into while we do further chatting, I'm going to shrink myself again and pull up a table here. So, shrinking to pull up a table. Now, what is this table? This is a table we've seen before, where it shows what numbers would look like in different bases. And this is a sort of interesting fundamental thing about numbers, because it sort of makes sense for a human or alien to possibly develop a positional numeral base like this, where your numbers are strings of digits that represent powers of something, because that works so well. So we didn't have to have powers of 10. These ones are bolded to let you know what number in our terms we're talking about on each row. And then we can see all these alternate representations. And these are going to be part of our little silly award show today, where I have 3 criteria and a 4th optional criteria for you to think about personally of what will give points to these numbers. Now, first, for the optional 4th criteria, what we're going to do is just a hint at a future episode that will be coming out, because in the future, I will be making an episode related to which numbers have how many zeros at the end of them when written in different bases. Which numbers are 10s and 20s and 100s and 200s and 2000s, the numbers with zeros at the end, in how many different bases, how many zeros, and things like that. I found some very crazy interesting traits in that directly correlate with a lot of number topics we've already talked about. So that's the optional exercise here, is which numbers have how many zeros at the end and how many bases. Looking for traits in that and trying to compare it to things about numbers that you've already known but defined differently than that. So that'll be a future episode topic. What we're going to do today, that I have no idea whether it'll be a future episode topic, because it's sort of a random experiment I wanted to play, is sort of gathering data in terms of these strange points we're going to award numbers. And we're going to go down the list with these 3 criteria, now leaving the 4th optional one to the side. And with our 3 criteria, we will award 1 point per base that the number fits the criteria. Now, our 3 criteria are going to relate, and before we actually go into that, let me note that this table is awesome. Thanks, Wikipedia, but I can't write on it, so I copy-pasted it, and now I have a copy of it. It's a little smaller. Sorry, I tried to grow it. It was weird to grow, but this is the table that we'll be able to edit. Now, we're actually going to replace numbers here to give them little special powers when they have one. And we're going to go through and first define our 3 criteria that get a point. And then we're going to... that's making that long. And after we define our 3 criteria, we are going to start deleting numbers and replacing them with points. In our little key, we're going to need 3 letters to represent these 3 type of possible points. And what we'll put for our 3 letters will be tricky because a lot of these start with P's. One of them is if it's palindromic in bases. One of them is if we have a pandigital in a certain base. Palindromic is sort of self-explanatory. It means it reads, well, if you know the word, it reads the same forward and backwards. Pandigital means it has all the digits the base has somewhere in it, at least once. Then we're going to also get a point if something is a rep digit. Now, this is different than a rep unit. I talk about rep units sometimes, and those are numbers composed of just ones in some base. Well, that would be called a generalized rep unit, and as I call them, a hyper 11. So I talk about those, but a rep digit includes those as well as any other repeated digit, a number that is only composed of one digit repeated however many times. For example, if we got to 222, that would be 1, or 44444, or whatever. So these are going to get 1 point per base that something gets. Now, some numbers are going to get an automatic point because of this. Some aren't. So what we have here is we need a letter to separate these. We're going to replace it with a... what's a symbol that can work for one of these instead of the other? We'll do a little... We get a $sign for when they're pandigital, and we get a P for when they're palindromic. And we get an R for when they're a rep digit. So, each of these will award a point to the number, and anything else gets deleted. Now, 0 isn't... By the way, palindromic is going to require multiple digits. Technically, you can call a 1-digit thing a palindrome, but we'll say multi-digit. Palindromic, more than 1 digit. Same with rep digit, more than 1 digit. And pandigital sort of has to be more than 1 digit in these, because we're starting at base 2, which is the logical start if they're all following the same rule where their digits are between 0 and 1 less than themselves. That rule would have to be redefined for base 1 to be tally marks, so we're starting from base 2 where they all follow that rule. In fact, I'm going to invent a nickname for this set of infinite bases because it gets really clunky in a lot of my episodes when I want to say in any base, but really what I mean is in any positional numeral base based on powers of a number, and the base is an integer number 2 or greater, and it's probably going to use digit symbols between 0 and 1 less than itself. That gets kind of clunky. So I'm going to come up with a nickname at some point for that. That will be a shorter way to say all of that type of base. Now, binary will have a lot of some of these, and if we were ranking on which base wins, binary would for sure win. But since we're going based on columns, based on rows and not columns, based on each number, I'm actually not sure what these numbers are going to do. So we're going to delete, because the traits with the zeros I figured out, but that was one of the cases where I was like taking some notes about something that I was investigating, and I was like, that's a cool connection I found. And I was like, maybe I'll put this in an episode. And then I spent like half an hour, ended up with a page of notes, and was like, at the end of the notes, like, this must be an episode. So in early grade -2, probably we'll get that episode about zeros at the end. Maybe I'll even sneak it into grade -1. But for now, we're not looking at the zeros at the end of numbers. These traits I actually haven't investigated yet, which bit numbers will have, which bases will have how many. Now, we're going to clear all the one-digit ones except for our marker ones here. These tell us what number it is, so those are kind of helpful. So we're going to say that they have to... 0 technically would win the pan-digital... Oh, no, it doesn't, because it doesn't have any ones, so it's not pan-digital. Doesn't have more than one digit in any of these. 0 will leave the marker, but everything else gone. 0 didn't get any points because it doesn't have any multi-digit numbers and it couldn't be pan-digital. These definitely, it requires more than one digit, so we're going to delete all the one-digit numbers apart from the marker. Now, if anybody in the chat has any other suggestions for criteria they think would also be useful to give points to these numbers, feel free to leave any other suggestions, and I will consider a fourth way of awarding points. However, we're not going to be considering these one-digit numbers much, because whatever trait wins for one of those wins for an infinite amount of bases when they start to... Oh no! When they start to all be written that way. What have I done? Oh no. Come on. This is like the simplest computer program. How does this crashing? Uh-oh, fellas. We're gonna have to wait a minute. I hope this doesn't fully get crashed. Oh no. It's on like... It wants me to force quit it. Okay. We might have to really quickly remake this base table if it doesn't save it right. Okay, it didn't save that bit, it saved the top bit. Good enough. We're going to clear all these. Also, to anyone who wants to look for rare combo class lore, I think I just showed like the list of all the last document names of documents I've worked on by accident when I force quit it. So to anyone into combo class lore, there you go. Or more like Demotro lore. So, which numbers are going to win awards? The lower numbers don't have the chance to win many awards. But you know what? Since we're saying that the record is the first one to get the most points gets an award, 2 is going to get an award because it's going to get the palindromic award. So 2 is actually going to get an award just because its earliness hurt it but helped it. Now check out all these A's. These are representing, we'd need another symbol if we were writing in base 11 and tried to write that. We're getting rid of all the single digits though. Sorry letters, you're going out with the numbers. So, what we can notice is that every number automatically gets 1 point. Try and think real quick. It's a puzzle. What's the easiest to think of automatic point? Well, 11 counts under... Well, actually, you know what? I didn't think this through. I whipped up this stream idea real quick. The rep digits are palindromic. So is it going to get a double point for that or what? Well, since P and R look so similar, we'll put R as like a little better than P. R will be like, if it's also a rep digit, it gets an R instead of a P. So it's not going to get both, but R is going to count a little more if there's a tie or something. So 2 wins the Pan Digital Award. In fact, a lot of them do. We're just going to go down binaries, pan digitals, because it has a lot. Binary has tons of these. We're leaving just the hyper 11s because we already wiped out 0. And those get R's. So everything in binary either gets a $sign or an R starting from 2. So turns out everything gets an automatic point from binary, but, oh no. I don't like that. What did I do? Okay. So everything gets an auto point from binary. However, if there's something close to a tie, the R's are going to be better than the dollar signs. R's are an upgraded version of one of those. So, however, dollar signs actually might be rarer in other bases because, you know, at this scale, a lot of these are not pan-digital in the base. What about base 3? Well, let's go now row by row. 3 is a rep digit there, and in base 3, it is none. It doesn't get any of these awards. So 3, if we're weighting R more than dollar sign, because R is sort of like P with an extra trait, then 3 would get an award too. But we're going to have to see how many R's and dollar signs there are before we decide how they're weighted. Let's first get this table going good. So, oh, I can zoom that way. Okay. So, 1, 1 is an R. All of these are R's. This was the little puzzle I mentioned a minute ago, was what's the one they all get? They all get an R for 1, 1. Sorry, 11, we'll just know you're there. Uh-oh. Now, we've gone up to 19. Sounds arbitrary, but that's a good amount of numbers to do. Counting 0, it is 20 numbers. And now let's note that 1, 2 is not that special after 1, 1. However, it's not quite in base 3. So 1, 2 doesn't win anything there. That doesn't win anything there. That doesn't win anything there. And in fact, none of the 10s are going to win an award. The 10s, except the one that was in binary. The binary 10 did win an award. So, we are going to lose track of which numbers these are, but you can count up from 9. Because I'm going to note that all of these don't have any special traits. And they're gone, but just know which number they are. And these are just our markers. We'll leave 19 as a marker too. So, a lot of these don't win any traits over here. Their only goal of winning some of these traits is in that closer section. But this whole range is not looking good for the numbers. In fact, this whole range can go. The numbers only are going to have luck at this size in that earlier region. Now, looking here, as we get closer, a lot of these still don't do much, but some of them do in the mix. There, for example, in the mix, we had an R for a rep digit. And here, in the mix, we got 111. That's another R. Now let's go back, catch up. These are not special, unfortunately. Sorry, folks. Now, the palindromes aren't going to have much luck at this size. If we're counting the rep digits as R's and the other ones as P's. But we get a few. There's a P. And there's some R's. Now, these don't do much. Now, interestingly, 10 gets an award. Now, I hate to say it. Well, no, actually, does it? No, it doesn't quite. 8 was better. But 10 almost gets an award. Although 8 had a little more points if we count R's as more than P's. If not, 10 still ties it and probably doesn't get an award for that. But that is something special about 10. I'm growing to grudgingly like the number 10. Now, I don't like it because our society uses base 10, which is bad. We shouldn't use base 10. 10 is not good because of the 2 times 5-ness that populates our world. Should be 2 times 3-ness. But we have 5 fingers, so people stuck with it. Base 6 will be better, blah, blah. However, the number 10 does have a few cool traits. One of them is that it's triangular. It also is tetrahedral, so it's a few types of figurate number. And we also can see that it was pan-digital in base 3, and it was a rep digit in base 4. And it was pan-digital in... P is palindromic. It was pan-digital in base 2, palindromic in base 3, and a palindromic rep digit in base 4. Then nothing till the spot where it looks like 11. Still, that's a good run it had going for it right there. And hello to the folks in the chat. So here we got a 22 in the mix. And I have to be careful about these, because this one in base 3 is actually pan-digital. So let me mark the pan-digitals, because I got to be careful with those. The pan-digitals can only occur in base 2 and 3 at this size, though, because we would need a 4-digit number for base 4. So that'd be a way bigger chart. So that's where the dollar signs end, is in those first couple rows. And the first couple columns. I keep swapping the terms. Here we got a palindromic. And here, got an R. So a lot of them are getting 2 points in addition to their automatic, or 3 points. Well, no, total of 4 points. A lot of them are getting. Some get less. And that's counting R's as equal. Also, those 11s are pretty trivial R's. All right. Here we got a... What is it? Palindromic? Yeah. And I need to plug in my phone real quick so I can keep checking the chat and it won't die. Let me run through the rest of this chart real quick. We have another R. Another R. That one's neat. Oops. Now that one has the most amount of R's. None of these win anything. So dang, 19. 19's suffering. So is 17. All right. So guys, take a look at this list and look at some thoughts of how you would rank it before I rank it. Leave a comment if there's any numbers you think definitely need an award. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to give, and look at these patterns. You see some patterns emerging? That's interesting looking. And let's see. Yeah, that's an interesting pattern. Let me make sure that was right. 1122. Yeah, it's weird. Look at the pattern. These are like the 22s. Kind of like these were the 11s. 22, 22, 22, 22, 22. But it can't start that early. And here can only start here are the 33s. Bump, bump, bump. They're hops of 3 apart. 22s were hops of 2 apart. 11s were hops of 1 apart. Pretty cool, huh? See those lines? Now, that would be a cool thing if somebody wants to program for me a big version of this with all the numbers, but color coded somehow for the ones that are like 11, 22, 33, 44 and stuff. And they would make these cool streaks. Now, award time, we're going to over here in base 19, which was too big to award any numbers points. Note who gets a special award. And what symbol for our award? We'll do a little star. So, we're going to say that 0 gets an award by having 0 points because it was the first one, and we said that if you have more points than any previous number, then you get an award. So, no previous numbers. Very debatable, but I'm giving 0 a point. 2 gets a point for having that there. So 0 didn't have a point, but it gets an award. 2 has a 1 point, and it's the first with a point, so it gets an award. 3, now it depends on if we weight the R's heavier, and I'm going to say that the R's here are going to, if they don't weight heavier, they could have been P's, because they are just palindromic. And since the P's are so rare, we're just going to count the R's the same as the P's. We'll see just how many points something gets. So that's the first. Let's award how many points they get. 0, star. We'll put stars on both sides of the number to make. Oh, no, we won't. Okay. This got 1 point. This got 2 points. This got 8 is the first with 3. Oh, I need to give them their award stars. No, we can only put it on one side. Okay. So, are there any... 8 was the first with 3. Where's the first with 4? That's 10, I guess. Oh, 8 didn't have as much as 10. I got confused because it was in the mix, because it was my marker. 8 only had 3. 10 did win an award. 10 was the first with 4. And I don't think we have any with 5. Now, looking at the mixes, we do have unique mixes. Like, this is the only one, the number 18 is the only one with 3 R's. So that's unique. So that gets the special R award for getting the most of those. And this one gets the $sign award because it had 2 of those. And so did that, but it tied it. So this gets 11 gets the $sign award. Those got awards for a number that they achieved. So on this list, those are our top ones. You can decide whether you include the R star or the $sign star or not. But 0 started it off. 2 gets an award by having one thing, which was that it is pan-digital in binary. 4 gets an award for not only being pan-digital in binary, but also being a rep digit in base 3. And 8 gets an award for not only having both of those traits, but also being the rep digit in base 7. Then 10 was a rep digit on base 9, a rep digit on base 3, palindromic in base 2, and had I'm getting so confused by these symbols. Pan-digital in base 2. And the others have their own special awards. Now to see them a little clearer on the one without the numbers wiped off, here is 2 was pan-digital there, the first one to start off that trend. 4 had also pan-digital like that, but happened to be 1-1 there too. Which, the 1-1s are sort of trivial, but it had that and that, so, more than that. Then 8 had those two, which you could consider that a little trivial, but it had two. Well, those two would actually be that's pan-digital, and that's right before the base are somewhat trivial. It also had 2 2 there. Now 10 had a 2 2 there, and a palindromic there, and it's good old 11 that it would be written as in base 9, and there is pan-digital. So those things got awards, and it raises the question, what are the next numbers that would have 5 points? Are there any numbers on this size of list that would achieve 5 points? Leave a comment if I miss one, because I'm just skimming. I'm not looking at this thoroughly. Do you see any with a large number of these traits? This seems to have a large number. We have 22, 11, 101, 222, and that. So 26, if not a sooner one, has 5 points on the random metric I designed. So apart from my random metric, what if we split it into parts and just look at certain traits, like which numbers are rep digits, looking at just the R's in particular amounts of bases? Well, the ones that have the most R's are, the starting one is the number 3 has 1. And then we have 111. The number 7 has 2. The number 7 gets an award in terms of the rep units. 8 has 2 also. Wait, let's see. Yeah, 2 also. And then 2. Oh, whoa. Yeah, 18 got the R star award because it had 3. So that's another metric if we were just looking for that more exclusive trait. And it makes me wonder, is that on the OEIS, the Online Encyclopedia of Integer Sequences? This might not be. It's a kind of arbitrary way of phrasing it. But what's the first number that's a rep digit in the most amount of bases? So let's see if they randomly have that. We had 3, 7, and 18. The bisection of Lucas numbers. 47. I doubt it correlates, but just in case, let's look at 47 on our table of bases. And see, we have... Nah, that's not an award winner, so it does not correlate to this. See, there's a way to investigate stuff sometimes. This site is your friend. 42. Does that randomly follow this? With 1. No, it's not a record setter. Or wait. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. It has 4 points. So yeah, I don't think they have this on there. But you never know. What about, maybe I'll add that sometime, or maybe it's too arbitrary. I have a bunch of sequences I do want to add to there sometime that they should have. And not that they should have because they are missing something. It's like a great resource, just like ones that I discovered. But here, let's see another trait, which is how many bases is something a rep digit in. Now, there's a chance they're phrasing this as like 1 less and saying, or a different thing where sometimes they say you need to have at least 3 digits as a restriction. Let's see if they just have any related to rep digit as the title. They have the rep digit numbers, primes that are rep units. So they have a variety of cool ones here. Numbers that are rep digits with length at least 2 in some base. We have our 7 there and our 13 in some of those fellas. 13 was there. Wait, length at least 2. Yeah, in some base. So, oh, length greater than 2 in some base. So that's the restriction I was talking about, where sometimes it's 3 or more. In more than one base. So here we get a special one. Check it, 31. It sets extra special things because it's maybe the only one of the only two, it's conjectured, numbers that are only ones of length more than 2 in some base. But to be only some digit in more than one base, looks like 63 also sets the award. 31, then 63. And let's see what's up with 63 here. 63 is all those ones in binary, a bunch of 3s in base 4, and 33 up in that base. 77 also in base 8, and 11 in base 62, and maybe base 22 somewhere on there. I don't know. So these are some powerful ones related to what we were looking at. All right, so a lot of fun stuff to potentially analyze here. I think I will leave the award show for now, but congratulations to 2, 4, 8, 10, 11, and 18. And on this metric, congratulations additionally to 3 and 7. So that was our fun little random game that I wanted to play anyway, and I was like, why not put that on the stream? And maybe I'll read more into those OEIS articles later. Now, something funny I did want to show is when I Google table of bases, I know it's kind of arbitrary and like vague, so it might not come up with what I want, but it turns out Wikipedia comes in. Wikipedia has the table of bases we were looking at as the first result to this. So that's awesome. But what the funny thing is, for images of table of bases, you don't get any good images of a table of bases. You get good images of tables with bases. Look at this. View all here. Like table bases. A lot of table bases you could buy. So that's what you get sometimes for your table of bases. Now, this one looks fun though. The acid and base chart. Completely different type of bases. The scientific acids and bases. But this could be fun to look at for a moment. Where'd the picture go? Okay. So, let's see. These are acids going up and bases going down. That's a weird... So, what does that mean? That means... It doesn't even really say any... I was gonna think it doesn't say any traits about them, but I wouldn't know what those traits meant necessarily anyway, so we can just know that this means really basic. Which really basic is like the opposite of acidic, but it also burns you. Here you got your... Oh, water. Nice. Water's right in the middle. And here you got all these crazy fellas. Alright, now let's zoom back to the combo classroom for a minute, and we'll appreciate the crows, and I'm going to check those comments that are lurking all the way over there by my phone charger. Okay, I'm just going to unplug my phone for a minute to have it over here. Thank you all to who are leaving nice comments. Question marks around the search term might help. That's interesting. I'll have to try that more. What does question marks around the search term do? Seems to pull up similar ones, but maybe it would have helped if they hadn't been labeled as much. Good to know some weird little tricks on here. They have a lot of stuff on here. I found they have this thing called the webcam, which reloads random pages. What I'm going to say when I say so, and we're going through best sequences. These are numbers with more than one prime factor that do not end in 0 and contain as substrings every maximal prime power dividing them. So what do you know? 1197 has that interesting trait in our base. Sort of base dependent. A sequence S describing the position of its prime terms. That's trippy. So S is built with the rule when you're about to write a term of S, use the smallest integer not present in S and not hitting a contradiction. So the first one can't be 1 because it would say, oh, the first term's prime, and 1 isn't prime. So the smallest number possible that fits was 2. That says the second number's prime. So the smallest number that fit there was a 3, I guess. Are you allowed to repeat numbers? I guess you don't repeat numbers. Yeah, not present yet. So then we have to go to 3, then we have to go to 5, but then we hit our 1 lurking in the mix. So this is a jumpy sequence. Let's look at the list. No, I mean the graph. This sequence jumps all over. Whoa. This is a logarithmic scatter plot. That's apparently what the sequence does. Look at that shape the sequence makes with its terms. Let's see if we can observe that. Okay, I'm gonna have to... I don't have my charger right here. I mean, I have the charger for it, but not the thing that lets it plug into the wall, which I should have an extension cord, but I'm using a power strip, which doesn't stretch as far. But I don't have either of those things. I need to run and grab that. I'll be back in a moment so our computer doesn't die. It's getting dark really quick, so see the darkness emerge with me. Just in case we want to have the darkness emerge a little further, maybe I'll grab a little cardboard so we could have a miniature campfire when it gets dark really soon, because I like the outdoors right now. It's nice. So I'll be back in a moment with some cardboard and the right way to plug in my computer. Okay, Revenge of the Stream. I've brought a few things, one of which also is a cool type of fruit I showed on the other stream that maybe some of you didn't see and maybe some of you don't know. So you're going to check out a cool type of fruit as well. And first, let's get this thing plugged in, so I have to relocate us a little bit. Okay, and let's see if that works. I think we're good. And my phone too. And sorry for the delay, but this will be nice to have a miniature fire with a little paper bag and piece of cardboard I got. Actually, egg carton piece. When the darkness hits in a moment. The darkness hits very fast here sometimes. Some seasons it's more extreme than right now. But just watch. Right now, I look like relatively lit up. Looks like pretty daytime-ish, maybe, with the darkness hinted at. Well, it's going to be so dark so soon, so just watch. Now, here... Oh, maybe I wasn't showing all that logarithmic scatter plot. Hopefully I was showing some of that. All of that? I don't know. Here's the shape of that scatter plot. Hopefully I was showing that. Sorry if I wasn't. So, sometime I'll have someone on my team working on the tech for that, of handling the live stream stuff of the switching, because it's chaos when I'm in charge of the switching and being the host, but that's what we get, grade -1, a little bit of chaos. Over time, we'll find ways to refine the experience while maintaining the chaos. So, what we're going to do real quick is, while we're doing it, I'm going to rip up some cardboard for my little campfire that we're going to have a very miniature one of. And I want to show you guys a cool fruit as well. So, check out this orange. Looks just like an orange, huh? But is it? Now, do I have a knife here? Now, so I don't know if I have a knife. This might sound crazy, but I'm just going to cut it with this piece of glass because I want to show you guys. Do not try at home. Do not cut your fruit with glass. I only have glass because I was cleaning up clocks that got destroyed for various reasons. Also, do not try any campfires because I did. Only do things on your own accord. Now, here is the inside of this orange, which the orange itself on the outside looks like maybe a slightly redder version of what you'd expect an orange to be. But on the inside, it is pure red. Dark red. Almost blackish. Crimson, you could call it. And it tastes really good. It tastes like an orange mixed with kind of like berry-like flavor. Sorry. All right. Back to business. Things to look out for is over the next week or two, I'll be updating a lot of cool stuff for March, and that's going to include new cool info about stuff that'll be offered on the Patreon that I'm going to add, new cool stuff that relates to that P.O. Box-like thing I have, which is not a P.O. Box, a better way of sending. Same thing, but the one called a P.O. Box had more restrictions than this other address. So, then you can send me your broken clocks and stuff. And other things that will be coming will be me announcing which days I'll be streaming. So look out for, there will be one day of the week. I'll always be streaming sometime around this time. or even slightly later. And then there'll be one day of the week I'll be streaming way earlier, sometime in the morning. And then, depending on what people like or are able to visit the stream more often of, maybe I'll move those, but that's going to be at least for like March and April. And we will always see just what happens going forward, but having a schedule can keep me motivated, and can be good for you guys to know what's coming when. I filmed some more shorts, so there'll be another short or two coming out like I've been dropping. The latest one was, or one of the latest ones was a very simple fake proof that, spoiler alert here, if you haven't seen it, you'd probably figure out if you care enough to watch the stream. It snuck a divide by zero error in there to try and prove that 1 equals 2. And I want to go into that in more detail in a streamer episode someday about different types of fake proofs. Because there's the ones that sneak by a divide by zero. And that was one I actually wrote the proof of that I hadn't seen online, but I'm sure it's been done because it's simple enough. The ones I saw online were way more complicated, but I'll show them too because there's other variations of the divide by zero one. And then there's other ones. There's different ways you could make a fake proof. And so that's something fun to think about. And some examples of ways you might try and do it, that you could try and think of how you could make this happen, are fiddling around with imaginary numbers and using properties that you expect real numbers to hold but sneaking something in there, or using a function, using a backwards thing that seems like the inverse of a function at some point but didn't actually backtrack it perfectly, or the inverse and the verse not adding to the same thing because it wasn't truly the inverse or something. So there's a few different ways we could sneak by that proof, and we'll look into some of those in the future. That won't be in grade -1. There is one episode in grade -1. I haven't firmly decided what I'm doing with it yet. It'll probably be one of this pretty grandiose concepts I've been saving up that I really care about, but that one's pretty grandiose, so I might just do a random math one for that and save that for grade -2 with some of the big concepts. And there's one really big concept one near the end, which is about infinite series of numbers. And the next one is either going to be, either the next one or the one after will also be a math and language mix one about spelling numbers. And it's going to be kind of languagey, but it's all about spelling numbers. So that one's kind of fun and interesting. Little tangent on the main channel, which make sure you're all on the Combo Class channel too. And not the Combo Class channel 2. That, if anything, that would be this one, the Combo Class channel also. But on there, we'll have those 3 episodes and then a crazy finale that I will film and edit during March as we transition this zone for a modular reset. And grade -2 will be pretty wild and fun. So stay tuned for all that cool stuff. Not positive exactly when the next main channel episode's coming. It will probably be sometime in the middle of next week. All of these ones I'm spreading out a little more because a lot of them, maybe not this one, but a lot of the last few main channel episodes were long. But it's not just because I rant like my streams. Those ones end up long if there's like a million facts I need to put in or a million anecdotes or whatever. So, in any case, most of what I wanted to check out today was our table of bases, and not this type of table with bases that it is the images, but this type of table of bases. And like I said, a good puzzle for anyone who wants to take their own thing away from this, apart from, of course, you could further analyze these repeated digits or these palindromes or whatever. Another one you can ponder is, I'll give you a few questions that are going to be answered in a main channel episode sometime, which are, for a given number, the amount of bases that it ends in a 0 in, what does that relate to? And is that like another way of describing something you already know? And how about this one? What does it mean to be a number that in some base is just a 1 and then a string of zeros. Like that. Or like that. What does that mean? What does it mean also to be a number that only has a 0 in the base that's yourself? Although those were 3 questions that I gave, in terms of base stuff, they're all answerable with other terms and definitions that you already know from school or from the main channel. And it's always good to get another way of defining something and coming to the same conclusion, another light to cast on it. So that is something that will show up on the main channel, and you should ponder in the meantime, because I haven't been giving you guys puzzles enough. There might be a fun puzzle-based thing coming out related to the streams or Discord soon. And puzzles are good for the brain. Part of how I got my knowledge was by puzzling through things and ending up on a conclusion I could have read somewhere, but going through all the steps makes you find a lot of connections, learn how to use tools, and a lot of good stuff. And sometimes find your own thing that's new. A lot of the time, I'll spend I can get absorbed and spend an hour or two sometimes on some random little sequence of numbers I'm fiddling around with. And then if I find any data, I'll search it on that OEIS place, and maybe 2/3 of the time there's something there for it, and then you get a bunch of people's thoughts and conjectures and facts, and it's really cool. And the other part of the time it's really cool as well, because it's not on there, and I'm like, maybe I found something new. I'll have to look into that later. So some people think that trying to discover something by fiddling around with things, whether it's a puzzle or an open-ended question you have, is sort of like a waste of time if you can get the answer, or that it's gonna give you a bad feeling when you find out it's already been discovered and named, if you're trying to find your own thing, your own variation on something, or your own puzzle. But that can be fun too, because then you learn a bunch of facts on it and you found the connection yourself. Those are some of my favorite facts, are facts that I found myself, but no, I wasn't the first mathematician to find. And there are other facts that I just read, because reading is good as well. So that's another thing we will do on a stream sometime. Go through some of my cool books again and flip through some of the pages to try and inspire some of you to read more. And in fact, paper books are good for the brain and body in a different way. So, online reading's all good, but consider having a paper book or two in the mix, because it puts you in some sort of different meditative way of analyzing or falling into the words. I will also be, hopefully, finishing some of the books I've been working on in not too long. And the one that I have been dived into the past few days, and that I've been falling asleep thinking about, and it ends up tangled in my dreams, is a book that, ironically, years ago, I was not too many years ago, but maybe 2 years ago or something, I was writing this book, and I decided the beginning, it's a choose your own adventure book, and I'm not positive this will be the first fiction novel I publish, but it's the one I'm currently working on finishing. I have a bunch of half-finished ones. This one is sort of choose your own adventure like. You don't pick the plot, but there's a squirrel or some bird or something. You don't pick the plot, but you pick which part of it you look at next, or it might be which character you follow, or whether you go to when a certain thing happened, or whether you go in or out of certain layers you'll see. So there's a choose your own adventure of a maze of figuring out the story. It'll be a bit confusing, but it'll all make sense, and it'll be almost like a puzzle to wander through the choose your own adventure and stumble through some parts of the maze again. It's like a labyrinth. You might fall back where you were before, but then go a different route after that this time, and connect the pieces of the puzzle. And it will be confusing, but it will, and you'll see why when I publish it. but it will also be like a puzzle that is somewhat solvable. Of course, it's good to have some open-ended questions and possibilities in books, but there will be many answers and clarity given of how everything occurred in the story, and that can be sort of put together through the maze. Now, the weird thing is that when I was writing this book, and I started it like 2 or 3 years ago, it made sense for the very beginning of the book, and it still makes sense to be a divide by zero error that crashes at the beginning. Divide by zero error, probably in brackets or something. You hit a divide by zero error first. Later, it makes sense why, once you put together the puzzle partially. But then it turns out, after deciding that one of the most personal, important novels and projects to me is going to start with a divide by zero, out of the 200 or so shorts that I've filmed, the one about a divide by zero error is the most viewed out of the TikTok ones, the most viewed out of the YouTube short ones. On the two places I've posted more than 200 shorts. That is by far the most viewed on both apps. I don't know what it was about that video, but the divide by zero error decided to creep back in my life. Also, revisiting that book, it already had all this stuff about dice. It has stuff a little bit about clocks. It's very combo classy, but fantastical. Now, for those who just want mathy stuff, don't worry, because part of my writing projects are quite mathy. That book has a lot of math in it, but it's not a textbook. Now, the more textbook-like one I'm going to write is going to be the whole book about threvens and throds that I mentioned. I am still going to try and go down that rabbit hole. And that is part of why I transitioned out from my music students, and I'm sort of quitting that. And I'll explain more about that in a bonus video on this channel sometime for everyone to see. So I'll leave it at that there. My phone is really far, so I can't see the comments. I'm going to grab them. But you see what I mean about how dark it gets quickly in this little den back here? It's going to be even darker pretty soon. So let me check those comments. Sorry, they're all the way over here. Well, mostly just people saying hi and nice things. So, hello and nice things back to all of you. Now, this is also a branch that I hadn't thought about, but I'll look at burning this in a campfire later. Maybe we're just going to do a super mini bit of fire to look at and not for you to copy. But later I'll look at this one being possible campfire material. This fell from above. This is part of that tree up there. So one day when it's windy, one of those could just fall down and clunk me on the head, but usually they fall next to me. So give me a moment to set up a little bit of fire here while that car alarm stops, and the crows stopped and the birds stopped, and we're getting to the time where it's sort of quieter at night, and it took me a while to appreciate that quiet, but although it can feel lonely at times, it's also nice in its own way. So, one moment, I gotta get this ready. This will be maybe just, okay. I was maybe gonna put something on the fire to enhance it, but I'm just gonna light the little paper bag as soon as it gets dark. It's not gonna be a full campfire special. It's just gonna be to look at how beautiful, not to copy, nature can be. I won't say fire because no copying. How beautiful nature is. Now, fire is just one of the more powerful forces in nature. Rain is also a force in nature. And Combo Class likes nature, so we're letting the nature take us by storm. And that gives us cherry blossoms. It also gives us rain on our clocks. And I'm the one who decides to safely incorporate the fire as well, because we need all the elements there. We got the dirt, the air, the rain came for the water. So need that fourth element once in a while. I also will probably be ending the stream after it gets dark and then I light this super miniature fire, because I am hungry and I need to make some food. I enjoy cooking. Cooking's nice. Maybe we'll do some cooking streams sometime because although it might sound kind of random, like I'm not just going to do an eating stream unless there's some really rare, interesting foods, but a cooking stream could actually be a good tutorial for people, you know? I can show you some different ways to make eggs good or things like that. I like cooking. But in any case, most people are here for fun facts about math and science, and there's a lot more coming of that. For anyone who does want to be extra helpful, I'll do my super miniature mention of the stream that the Patreon's really cool, and I put up a lot of my beats there recently for certain tiers, and for all the tiers I've been writing their names in a bunch of descriptions, and everyone's gonna get their name on a whiteboard in the finale episode. So okay, that's my end. Done bugging, but the Patreon's cool. So it also will be updated very soon to have even more clarity and goodness about getting credited and stuff, other cool stuff. So a lot of good stuff coming in this transition toward March. And it's just going to be a crazy world for grade -2. Combo class is going to be my job. And even though I don't make I make less negative money if you count what I spend on it still. But you know, I'll live with my parents for a minute, eat into my savings a little bit, and make some super cool content with you guys. And hope that we continue our majestic growth. We are almost at 93,000 here. And you know how long this channel's been alive? I like to check that thing that's like time and date, time between different amounts of thing. Well, I've been posting on this channel for only 24 weeks. So we're doing pretty awesome. And that was the roundest number out of the weeks, months, and days and stuff. So I picked the weeks one because it happened to line up. But it's sort of fun to look at the random amount of days that have passed between something. And more meaningful than seeing the same day the next month, like saying like 1 month later. Could be 28 days later, could be 29 days later, could be 30, could be 31. And I don't mean sequels to that zombie movie. So I guess I should grab my phone. It's probably charged enough for me to look at the comments for the very end sector of the stream. But mostly I just wanted to play that fun little number game. Sort of random, but one thing that I got out of this was, alright, 10 I'm going to give a little more new credit to. 10 had some cool stuff. These numbers also had some cool traits as well. 18 had some good ones. 8 had some interesting ones, and even 7. And I also noticed that if these were colored, that would be really cool. So if anyone wants to make a visual of a bigger graph of this with all the numbers, but color-coded, these guys, that'd be pretty neat. So I am going to make myself large for the rest of this. And we only will have a slight bit more because the darkness is really setting in. And we can hear the final birds chirping as well. So now that we're down to like 1 bird, about time to go get some food and you guys to do whatever you want, except for copy what I'm about to do. So it's getting dark enough that the only way we're going to be able to see the very ending of the stream is with a miniature amount of not to copy, safe. I have this fire pit here. It's completely safe, YouTube. Fire. Now, it might not even work. Yeah, it'll work. So, we're not doing like an extra crazy fire with any lighter fluid or anything, because yes, sometimes I use lighter fluid very safely to enhance it, but still looks kind of nice just to get a little look at one other force of nature. We didn't get water in the stream, but we always have dirt under me when I'm out here. And we can also appreciate that I have a pretty magnificent dice carpet. The dice carpet is the dice that get embedded into the mud, and will continue to do so. So, we're going to have this super miniature look at how these dances can resemble other things that we've seen on our graphs, actually. Sounds random to bring up graphs, but since I've been playing with those a lot, there are a lot of graphs of those weird sine functions, modular things, various functions we played around with, the polar coordinates, that ended up looking very similar to weird moments captured in time of this. So let me grab my phone right here, and reminder, completely safe, got a fire pit and a hose, do not copy. So thank you all in any case for joining me, and as soon as this goes out, I am probably going to shut off the stream. But there's a lot of fun stuff coming. Tomorrow there will be another short, and there will be pretty soon a bonus video as soon as I'm ready to change the channel name to let people know that. And because some people don't catch live streams, and I don't want them to see it's a Demotro from Combo Class, which it's about to, and not know that's me for some reason, unsubscribe. So I'm trying to make like a banner and a profile picture that looks like you see the lab coat and you see a burning clock and you see my face or something, that people will know it's me if I change the name, because Combo Class Bonus was really a temporary thing. And to whoever has those Combo Class Bonus sequel channels, the kid who made one, which started the whole thing, and I didn't start, some kid made one called Combo Class Bonus 2, now called something about a Combo Class sequel. But other people, as a joke, I was like, yeah, you guys can use Combo Class Bonus and then numbers and then whatever. Well, now I am really giving you guys free reign, that as soon as I start calling this channel Demotro from Combo Class, you guys can call a channel Combo Class Bonus and anything. You can also use my clips as long as you credit me if you want. But any Combo Class bonuses are now going to be free reign, and going to be very clear that they're the other channels and not me also. That's not why I'm changing it. I was the one who said to keep doing the joke. But in any case, oh yes, just looking over there to make sure everything's good. And yep. So this is dwindling, and we are going to be ending the stream very soon. But thank you all for joining me. You can catch me in the Discord, or the Patreon, or the subreddit. We need more stuff on the subreddit. So, post some random thoughts, or weird memes, or whatever. And stay tuned for a few more fun main channel episodes. And leading up, the next two might be on the casual, shorter end of just fun little episodes. And then there will be one that's about infinite series of numbers, and which ones go to infinity or converge to a cool thing. And that's pretty cool. And it will lead up to a grade -2 episode talking about the Riemann hypothesis and the $1 million question related to it. So that's all for today. It's getting very dark. I will be invisible soon. Thank you all so much. I'll catch you in the next one, and hope you have a super wonderful day or night or whatever time you're at. See you guys.